Okay, I think that we are live. It says so on my side. Okay, yep, we are.
Yep.
So my name is Anna Clark, and I'm an outreach counselor with Project Recovery Iowa. And so we offer free counseling and assistance for all Iowans needing support. You can go to our website at covidrecoveryiowa.org and fill out a referral form, and you can find our phone numbers on there. Our Iowa Warm Line and Iowa Concern Line. And so today we have Heather Horton with us, and she is a school counselor, and she is going to be talking about some things that students can be doing to be prepared for going back to school in the fall. And so I'll hand it over to her.
All right, I have a PowerPoint that I have kind of made to help go through this and then take any questions if there are any at the end. Like Anna said, I am a school counselor in the Des Moines area. I am also an outreach counselor for Project Recovery as well. I guess the first thing that I kind of wanted to share was in the schools in this last year, kind of the things that we saw the most of being high needs of students needing to put more attention to when they transition here coming into the next school year. I would say the number one thing that we saw was cell phone usage. Cell phone usage has become something that I would say adults struggle with as well. And when the appropriate time is to be on it and when not to be on it. Time management skills. The last couple of years, students have had the opportunity to kind of be free flowing. And so when it came to education, it was kind of on, their time, virtual, wasn't very organized. So time management skills have definitely deteriorated significantly. And interest and drive, which would go with the next one of lack of passion and hobbies. There are so many students that I have spoke with that were like, yeah, I used to play sports. I used to enjoy things and I don't anymore. COVID took that away, or the time away, I just stopped playing or I stopped doing it. I don't know what I like anymore. So that is something that we have really been trying to work with students on, trying to, what do you like? What do you want to do? What can we find love for again? I was talking to Anna earlier too, emotionally and socially delayed. I would say social skills are lacking significantly. So much time away from in-person interaction has changed the way that teenagers, I say, would interact with each other right now. And then the last one is not asking for help, because one of the things of being away from the school for the last couple years and coming back in, it was very hard to ask for help. But I think that is something that stems for everybody throughout all of life. Asking for help is something that is definitely hard.
Yeah, I agree, Heather. And all of these things, I think that adults also struggle with. And so I can't imagine how much harder it is for teenagers, especially with everything else that they are going through in their teenage years.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things too is, adults were in charge of everything during COVID. So imagine being a 10-year-old child who all of a sudden your school shuts down, your sports end, you can't leave your house, you have no interaction with your friends, everything that you have had is gone and you have zero control. And so trying to move back forward into that, there's a lot of anxiety of when is it going to happen again? Or when are we going to go back to online learning? I don't ever want to do that again. Things like that, where adults kind of have more control of things. So kind of based off what I saw in the schools as top priority, kind of made a summer to-do list of what students can be doing to prepare for the fall. Cell phones, set timers. set time limits. I know there are things on phones that you can set a timer and it stops working or it shuts off. I did have parents last year where you can actually call your cell phone company and you can say, please turn my child's phone off from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they're not allowed to use it. They won't have access. Learn how to complete tasks without technology. There are going to be times in school where they don't use technology. And so they to be able to go back to paper and pencil and learn how to kind of do things again on hard copy. Sleep schedule. I think sleep schedule is a huge one that we struggled with within my school the past year. Getting to school late, staying up all night playing video games because that was something that happened. Virtual school was very on your own time. And so if you wanted to do it all night and sleep during the day, you could. If you wanted to do it, whenever, you could just sleep. So recommended is to, adjust your sleep schedule back to getting up when you would before school. I would suggest a week before. Typically it takes about 7 days to get kind of in the routine of something again. Time management. I think the best thing is make to-do list. I make a to-do list every day. So I think that is something that everybody can benefit from. And then set time limits for those activities and tasks. Don't get caught up on one, say I'm going to do this for 30 minutes, then I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Allow those breaks, allow brain breaks, allow to regroup. Eat lunch somewhere different. Eat lunch, change your routine so it's like you're at school or something. Practice breaking down big tasks. Take big tasks and then break them down into smaller. If you want to learn how to, juggle a soccer ball, for instance, what can you do each day to make that successful, and say you want to do it in a month? Break it down into smaller so that it doesn't seem so overwhelming. One of the biggest things is make a goal that is realistic. Don't set a goal. If you're a C average student and you want to get straight A's, can that be realistic? Possibly. But if there is one class that you've really, really struggled to even get a C in, by saying, I'm going to get all A's, that is putting a lot of pressure on yourself that could be unrealistic. You want it to be challenging, but make something that is achievable. That will be very beneficial for anybody transitioning back. And like something very small, get to school on time, or just get to class on time. I know sometimes, I'm in a high school, so kids, talking to their friends in the hallways. Well, if you can't get to class on time and you can't make that a habit, how are you going to get to work on time when you get older? How are you going to do things like that? Setting small, achievable goals will improve self-belonging, motivation, passion, and so much more. So if we start setting small little goals over the summer of just, I'm going to make my bed every day. That's something very simple and very small. But if you can achieve that, then you feel better. And then you're going to start setting something a little bit bigger, add on something a little bit more. And then you do start to feel motivated. You start to feel passion. You start to feel self-belonging and self-worth. That will help you move forward and be more successful.
Heather, that's a great list. I think that I should do some of these things too. And it's just healthy for you, and it sets you up to be successful and to be able to thrive and grow and learn. We have a couple of comments on our Facebook Live that I just wanted to read to you quick. Mandy says, I appreciate your summary of your experiences. Kelly said, sounds like school kids are feeling a little lost, still disconnected. And Annette said, small achievable goals is a great way to have little successes that you can build on. So now if anybody has questions that's watching, now is the time to do it. Heather is here to answer them. You can always put questions in the chat afterwards and somebody will be there to answer them or give you more information. Heather, it's been really good to hear your experiences, and you saw this stuff firsthand with being in the schools. And I know that we talked about that disconnect. And do you think that these summer things would set kids up really well for this coming fall? And do you have any other suggestions that you think would be helpful?
I do. I think that they would set them up for success, because if you start now, I think, like we spoke earlier, a lot of our students who came in this year had not been in a building for almost 2 years. And so now that they have a full year under their belt of what it's going to look like and what it's going to be, it will be much, much easier for them to be successful by setting these little goals. Our freshmen, a lot of them came in not having middle school in a building. And then here you are now thrown into a ginormous building with thousands of people in it, and go. And then high school is a lot more demanding compared to middle school. So I think now understanding what it's going to be like, and middle schoolers have had time now to learn how to transition into high school. So I think just same, elementary has had time to learn now how to transition into middle school, and it will get better. It's going to take a couple years. I do believe that it will take some time, but it will get better.
Yeah, that's good to hear that there is that hope that it will get better, but it's not an overnight process.
No.
It's relearning the social skills. And like you said, not only is the social aspect different when you go to high school, but also the academics are harder. So it's juggling more than what normally they have done in the past.
Well, and there's so many more clubs now too. Like, because of technology and because of video games and things like that, there are more clubs within a high school than I have ever seen before. And so if you are someone who struggles with, having friends, or you want to find a connection within high school, look at your school. Even middle schools are having more and more clubs and groups and stuff. And if it's not there, I guarantee somebody will support it to make it there. So it is something that probably can happen.
Yeah, that's a nice thing that came out of this, is that there are groups for everyone now with all interests. When I went to high school, it was the basics of sports or music.
Yep.
Yeah, and the same is for college. There's pretty much everything that you can find, and if there isn't, you just make a new group. Do you have any tips for parents with kids and teens, and maybe what they could do to help their student?
I think leading by example. I have a almost 10-year-old myself, and she sets, to-do lists. She sets goals for the day, for the week, leading by example. And if adults can model it, then it's going to be a lot more successful for the child as well.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think that we are at our time. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and we will have somebody get to them. And I hope that everybody has a good rest of their day. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.